Good morning. My name is Steve Concialdi, and I'm the Public Information Officer for Orange County Fire Authority, and I want to welcome you to this year's annual Orange County Fire Authority's open house. Beautiful day. You're going to have some great events throughout the day. You're welcome to roam around, but we're going to have a presentation right now first. Basically, our theme for this year is Working Smoke Alarms Save Lives. And I'm happy today to announce a wonderful partnership with KIDA, KABC TV, Home Depot, Orange County Fire Authority, and the American Red Cross. Every day in Orange County, there is a fire. There's a structure fire, there's a commercial fire, but there's a fire somewhere in Orange County. Every 3 days, there is a cooking fire somewhere. And I can tell you as a public information officer that smoke alarms save lives. And throughout this year, they've saved numerous lives. Also, we've had a handful of calls where the resident did not have a smoke alarm, and unfortunately, those people died. So right now, you're going to witness a bedroom fire. So like we said, every day Orange County Fire responds to structure fires, vehicle fires, all types of commercial fires throughout Orange County. And you're going to witness how smoke alarms can save lives quickly.
And that was the open house that was done up at the Orange County Fire Authority, their main facility where recruits do the training, where these gentlemen, Steve Concialdi and Mike Contreras, they go up there too and keep up on their training, learn new techniques and things. It's a wonderful facility. Open house was a great success, not only up there, but at the local, many of the local stations. I think you all know Steve Concialdi here. Mike Contreras, though, you may not know, he is the battalion chief. He's out of Station 22, oversees other stations in the immediate area. Nice to have you on.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
And it should mention they're wearing pink t-shirts in lieu of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Good to have you on.
Thank you.
And that was a success up there. What we're looking here on the background here is a demonstration, obviously a live fire demonstration.
Right, so we're showing how smoke alarms alert the occupants right away. So within seconds of this bedroom fire starting, the smoke alarm would go off, and then you're supposed to have a smoke alarm in every bedroom, on every level, and in both hallways, upstairs and downstairs if you have a two-story home. And it showed the audience. There was over 500 people watching there. So we had over 3,300 people at open house this year. A wonderful turnout. But it just shows that smoke alarms will alert occupants right away and give them the critical few seconds to get out safely.
And that's the whole point to them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the fires that we do go on where there are fatalities and people do get injured, the one common thread is a lack of smoke detectors. So getting those, making sure that you have them, number one, making sure they're operational. You know, a lot of people forget the batteries, changing the batteries with daylight savings time, so that's coming up. So we want to make sure people do that. And if they do need them, especially people within the village, they can't reach them, they can't replace them, come by Station 22 and we can set up, make arrangements for our truck company to come out and take care of all those needs.
That's great.
We provide the smoke detector, so it's at no cost. And so depending on where you are, whether it's a battery, whether you need a smoke detector, or you just want to see if they're working, we're here to provide that service.
And now many of the smoke detectors that you can get are, they have the 10-year lithium battery in it, which is great. You don't have to think about it. I personally have one of those and I put a date on it. I actually put the end date on it, and that's always a good idea with a sticker, or just write it with a marker, or whatever you want to do. But that's great. People don't have to think about it for the next 8 to 10 years, and it's a great way to go.
And you saw in the video, KIDA donated 5,000 smoke alarms and 450 carbon monoxide alarms, which is wonderful. So we have a great partnership with KBC TV, KIDA, Home Depot, and the Red Cross. And so we provide all those smoke alarms. So this was our open house. Great day.
Yeah, this is the one we saw, the dogs.
Yeah, our canine search teams. In fact, one of our canine dogs went up to Washington earlier in the year when they had the terrible mudslide, and they were able to find some remains of one of the victims that died. So that was actually, it gave closure to the family. So it was a great success story there. But look at these dogs, they're outstanding.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. We saw that demonstration. They had this set up for the kids where they could grab a hose and pretend they're putting out a fire. Great interaction with everyone. We had a wonderful time. I went through the maintenance bay, which is, as you said, Mike, before we got on, people may not realize, they see the firefighters out there, obviously, but there are so many people that work behind the scenes, the maintenance people. It looks just like a service center at a major car dealership, except these huge trucks are in there. They have to keep them maintained.
Absolutely. If you look at, we have over 1,000 firefighters that what we call put big red in front of the house. But we also have about 500 professional staff that really help us do that. And if you look at the OCFA as a whole, there's a lot of people that help us reach that end users. And if we don't have fire engines that are running, it's kind of hard for us to get them out there. So there's the maintenance staff, there's our warehouse staff that gets all of our equipment, there's our training staff, there's our payroll, finance. So just like any business, there's many pieces to the puzzle that help us provide that service to the end user.
Yeah, and that was really shown that day. We had a great time. There were booths set up talking about drowning. Of course, all the engines were out there. I mean, they were gleaming. Were you out there waxing them the day before?
A lot of us were.
Yeah, I bet you were, because there wasn't a speck of dirt on any of it. It was a great fun. Let's talk about something that unfortunately I just mentioned that up there. You had statistics and you had a booth that was dedicated to really watching the pool when people are in it. Don't swim alone. And unfortunately, Orange County has now surpassed last year's drowning mark, right?
Right, unfortunately. So this year we've had 74 drowning calls. Last year there were 73. And we're still in the middle of October. So we had 6 from Thursday through Sunday, just this last weekend. Far too many. And the common thread are children that are left unattended, even for a few seconds. The parents are distracted for whatever reason, or the caregiver gets distracted. And then it's also older people that are swimming or in and around any body of water alone. So we've had 19 of our 32 deaths have been people over 50 years old.
That's amazing.
It really is. And all of them have been by a pool, a community pool, by themselves.
And really at any age, you shouldn't be swimming alone. I know a lot of people may want to go out to their, whether or not they live here or not, they want to go out to the community pool, especially a summer evening. And many times the community pools, after a certain length of time, don't have lifeguards. We do here, but they go out alone because they just want to have a nice, quiet swim when no one else is around. But they may be the greatest swimmer in the world, but if they were to trip and hit their head on the side of the pool, that's it. That's all it can take.
So we've had a few of those. We've had a few people that have tripped. We had one lady that dove in, hit her head. A lot of times there's alcohol involved, but if you're with somebody else by the pool or in the pool and you have some sort of medical problem, cardiac event, you get lightheaded or dizzy, you pass out, you have a diabetic reaction, there's at least somebody there that could help you keep your head above water, help you get out. But when you're in the pool alone, there's nobody to help you. And these are tragic, all of them. A lot of the community knew these people that died because they always saw them at the pool early in the morning or late morning by themselves. And 19 is one is too many, but 19 is terrible.
And deaths in the bathtub.
In the bathtub, right. And again, most of those occur, again, when there's alcohol or drugs involved. Somebody's trying to relax. The problem is it's very easy to, fall asleep or just, just start relaxing, and then you slip underwater. We've had a couple children too, and those where the parents left. Just they went to answer the door, they went to answer a phone, and they think they're okay. One was, I think we talked about the 2-year-old was in the bathtub with the 10-month-old. And the dad just had the water running, didn't have the stopper in. Well, he left and answered the phone. The 2-year-old put the stopper in.
Oh,
and the
gee.
10-month-old was in a seat and eventually fell over and was underwater.
Oh,
and
boy.
see, the kids associate the water with playtime.
Yeah.
They don't understand the risk, the danger, and the 2-year-old didn't understand. It was playtime for him.
Yeah.
And it was just very tragic.
One of the tough parts about this too is people think it's not going to happen to them. Unfortunately, we're in the it will happen to
Yeah.
you business. And we have programs like our Water Watchers, we have tags. I was on one about a month ago where there was 17 people around the pool and the kid had a near drowning. So it's not what Steve's saying. What it was is there's probably a dozen adults, but this adult thinks that adult's watching, that adult thinks the other. So they all think that the other person is watching them. What our program does is assigns that person. We give you a little tag. You can get these at all our fire stations. You get a tag and it says, I'm the water watcher.
Yeah.
And whether it's in 15-minute intervals, 30 minutes, whatever, but your sole purpose is to look, you're looking right at the water. And so it creates that accountability, and when your 15 is up, you give it to the next person. And so it doesn't assume that somebody's there to watch, it assigns somebody there. And it's something as simple as a tag, but it creates accountability.
Yeah, it does. Here's something Steve sent us yesterday. Yes, these guys put out fires, they save people, all this kind of stuff, but here's something you probably don't do all the time. Couple window washers, I guess something up in their rigging, they got stuck up there.
Yeah, Ford Park Plaza. This is a 19-story high-rise, and there were 2 window washers stuck on the 17th floor. The cable basically bird caged it, it's separated, and so they weren't able to move it. So they basically had to put a new cable in and a hand crank. So on one side of the platform, there's one of the videos will show the worker had to crank it up, where on the other side, the hydraulic, he was able to go up just a little bit at a time, but they had to work together. Initially, it didn't work because the guy was hand cranking it a little too quick, so they just had to go up. So this took, that they were stuck about 9:30, and they didn't get off until about 1 o'clock.
Wow.
But again, all 4 of our USAR trucks came, and these are highly trained firefighters, the best of the best, and they made sure everything was safe. They immediately put over harnesses down there so it secured the fire, or secured the 2 window washers, so if anything happened, they would be okay. And then our firefighters, our urban search and rescue firefighters, were going to rappel down and be lowered down to secure them, but they decided the safest is they still needed to bring the platform up. Let's replace the cable and bring up the platform just up. So it did take some time, but nobody got hurt.
Was the cause just because they weren't maintaining their rigging?
No, this company's got a great safety
Okay.
record. They've maintained this building for over 25 years. They have a great safety record. It was one of those unfortunate things. Cal OSHA was out there making sure the whole operation was safe from our firefighters, and making sure that, because there's anchors up there and supports for us to tie off our ropes, they made sure those were all good. And the Irvine company, they were in great support. They actually provided cold lemonade afterwards and pizza for all the firefighters. And then when we all talked about it, they brought us into a conference room, and it was a very well-run operation. The 2 window washers were very pleased. They weren't injured. I mean, they were tired.
Yeah.
Our firefighters lowered down some water because they were thirsty. They all had to go to the bathroom.
Yes.
And then the heat. I mean, it was a warm day. And what we don't realize is that sun, originally they were in the shade, but when that sun moved, it's beating off and reflecting off the window. It was extremely hot for both of those guys.
Yeah, I bet it was.
But they weren't complaining, and they were brought up safely.
Speaking of being safe, you guys have a campaign called Ready, Set, Go OC. You can go to readysetgooc.org. And this is about being prepared, primarily for wildfires in the area. But in general, we just had the great California shakeout yesterday. It's just being prepared for things that could happen.
Right. We say if you're prepared for a fire, you're prepared for an earthquake, any disaster. So with the Ready, Set, Go the first thing for ready, hardening your home, making sure your home is defendable for our firefighters. Make sure there's defensible space. And then the set is to have that plan. Know what you're going to do if a fire hits your home or your neighborhood. So like in this community, we might not have a wildfire that threatens the community, but there could be a great deal of smoke in the area. So we want to stay indoors or out of the area. If we have unhealthy air, it's unsafe to breathe. So either stay indoors, close your windows and doors, or leave the area until the air is cleaner and clears. And then go is basically, if the law enforcement, if they say it's time to evacuate, or firefighters, we need to leave quickly.
Speaking of that, you want to give a quick update about, if you remember a few weeks back, the Silverado fire that was close to 1,000 acres. And one of the interesting things about that was the way that it started. And you sent me some photos. I think we might be able to have them, but we showed them last time. But it was so unique how this started.
Right, so the photos will show there were 2 feet of metal sheeting that was around this vegetable garden. I mean, the person didn't think there was anything wrong with it. They were trying to keep out small animals, rabbits, rodents out, and she actually had it up there for quite some time. But the problem was the sun just would beat on it, and it was surrounded by railroad ties. So the metal sheeting was secured into the railroad ties. So over time, the sun would just beat on the metal sheeting, and it dried out the wood. And eventually it dried it out so much that it was so hot with the sun, it got to its ignition temperature, and then it caught on fire. So basically the wood caught, and then it extended into the natural vegetation. And it just goes to show you how quickly a fire can just take off. We've been in drought-like conditions for the past 3 years, so the fuel moisture in the vegetation is so low. So when we do get a fire in the brush area, in the wildland area, it rapidly grows quickly.
Now, because of that, although there's no that I know of regulation, will you look at having a regulation eventually that will say you can't use this, use the wire mesh, or use something, even the plastic type things that could go into the ground, something that will not cause
it was
that.
an accident. They didn't know.
I mean, most people wouldn't.
Yeah, we highly recommend wire mesh.
Okay.
Because it's got to be secured too, and it needs to be in the ground too, because those critters sometimes, they'll dig underneath.
They will.
Yeah, and I think the key piece is to educate yourself. I mean, you can't regulate everything. I think what Steve said. But if you go somewhere or you come to the fire station or you go to our headquarters, go to the website, we have experts in many different fields, just like we were talking about earlier. The mechanics, we have fire prevention people. So we have those experts that if you have those questions, come to us, ask us, educate yourself so that you can keep that potential disaster. Hopefully it doesn't happen this year. But like Steve said, we're in the middle of a big drought, and it's not the big thing. It's that maybe you didn't practice putting all the embers out. Maybe you're driving your car and you get a flat tire. People go, well, how could that have been prevented? Well, if you look at your tires and make sure you have enough tread on them, then you'll drive. You'll never get a flat tire, and now you won't start Laguna Fire. The Laguna Canyon or Laguna Canyon Fire number 2.
Exactly.
So it's really taking those proactive steps so that we don't have them. I just wanted to tie on to what Steve said earlier about shelter in place, and if you look at the area that surrounds Laguna Woods, there's a lot of interface area. Gate 10, Gate 11. As you go further down into Laguna Canyon, it's going to be a scary event for the residents of Laguna Woods. There's going to be a lot of smoke. And like Steve said, if you're in doubt and you have family members out of the area, leave.
Right.
Because a lot of the residents here do suffer from respiratory illness.
Right.
And if they can't, then shut the windows. It may be hot, but don't keep the AC on. Don't keep all those vents open, because it's just going to take everything that's out here and bring it inside.
Yeah, that's true.
So be proactive. Number one, if you can, leave. But if you can't, secure yourself in place. Understand that as much as we have a lot of units in the Saddleback Valley, if something in this area does catch on fire, those units are going to be moved to that area to fight the fire, and then we'll use our regional approach and bring other units from throughout the county. But it's important that they understand that a lot of our resources are going to be to try to, because the best way we can fix the problem is put the problem away, right?
Right.
Put the fire out.
Yeah.
And we don't want, we will absolutely be here to treat them, but we don't want to have unnecessary issues come up because they kept their windows open and stuff like that.
Good tip. Great having you both on, Steve and Mike, and we'll see you again, I'm sure.
Thanks, Ken.
And you know, if you want to go down to 22 and just say hello, please do. They'll appreciate that. And as Mike said, they'll help you out with your smoke detectors as well. How much time? We got a minute left. So.